Apparently, all the paperwork had been signed under my spouse's name. Not forged, not illegal, just quietly strategic. My name wasn't on the deed the way I thought it was. I felt the air leave my lungs. I had paid for renovations. I had planned every detail. I had carried the financial burden for years. But legally, I wasn't the owner. The house I thought was mine had never fully been mine. That realization hurt more than the sold sign ever could. I sat in silence, staring at the walls I had chosen, the floors I had polished, the kitchen I had dreamed of. Every memory felt heavier now, like I had built a future on a foundation that wasn't legally secured. But instead of collapsing, I got quiet. And when I get quiet, I get dangerous in the calm, calculated way. I called a lawyer. I pulled out every bank statement, every transfer, every email, every renovation invoice. I traced every payment I had made, every contribution, every documented proof that I had invested in that home. They thought I would panic. They thought I would beg. They thought I would walk away. They underestimated one thing. I document everything. The lawyer listened carefully, flipping through the files. "You have a strong case," he said. "Financial contribution, intent, shared marital assets. This isn't as simple as they think." That was the moment my fear turned into focus. The sold sign wasn't power. Paperwork was power. And I had the paperwork. Over the next few days, I learned how quietly control can be taken and how quietly it can be reclaimed. I learned about property rights, marital assets, legal ownership structures, and how many people lose homes not because they are careless, but because they trusted without verifying. My spouse finally confronted me. "I thought you'd panic," they admitted. "I thought you'd agree to whatever I proposed just to keep the house." I looked at them calmly. "You thought luxury was my weakness. You forgot preparation is my strength." They didn't expect that response. They expected tears, anger, desperation. Instead, they got documentation, lawyers, and someone who was no longer emotionally attached to the illusion of ownership. Weeks later, the truth settled in legally. The house couldn't be sold without addressing my financial stake. The deal stalled. Negotiations reopened. Power shifted. And in that process, I realized something bigger than the house. Ownership isn't just about names on paper. It's about understanding systems. It's about protecting yourself. It's about never assuming trust replaces documentation. I eventually got what I deserved, either equity, compensation, or control. But more importantly, I got clarity. The house was never just a home. It was a lesson. Luxury can be taken. Walls can be sold. Property can change hands. But knowledge, preparation, resilience, those are things no one can put a sold sign on. And that day, standing in front of that red sign, I thought I was losing everything. In reality, I was waking up. The paperwork had been signed supposedly with my consent. I asked for copies of every document. The agent hesitated, but eventually sent them. That's when I saw it. My signature had been forged on multiple forms. Anger surged through me, but I forced myself to stay calm. Panic wouldn't fix anything. I scanned the documents and contacted a lawyer who specialized in property fraud. The moment she saw them, her expression changed. "This isn't a misunderstanding," she said. "This is deliberate fraud. Someone tried to manipulate the system. But you're protected. We can stop this." With her guidance, I called the bank that handled the mortgage. They confirmed the loan was only in my name, and any transfer required my direct authorization. That meant the sale was illegal no matter how convincing the forged paperwork looked. That's when it hit me. They thought a flashy sold sign would intimidate me. They thought fear would make me obedient. They underestimated me. Step by step, we shut it down. Formal legal notices went to the agency and the buyers. The forged documents were flagged. The sold sign was removed within hours. Then I confronted my spouse. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I just stated the facts. "You tried to sell this house without my consent. It's illegal. It's wrong. And it's not happening again." Their face went pale. The confidence they had carried for weeks disappeared instantly. They tried to argue, but I didn't flinch. I had evidence. I had legal backing. And most importantly, I had control. The agency apologized. The buyer backed out. The house remained mine. But the biggest lesson wasn't about property. Security isn't luxury. A big house doesn't guarantee safety. Money doesn't guarantee control. Knowledge does. Preparation does. Calm under pressure does. From that day on, I set strict boundaries. No unilateral decisions. No hidden financial moves. Everything required transparency and consent. Intimidation stopped working the moment they realized I wasn't afraid. I told my child about it not to scare them, but to teach them resilience. Sometimes people try to take what's yours, I said. But if you stay calm, stay prepared, and stand your ground, you can protect yourself. That sold sign wasn't just a threat. It was a test of patience, a test of knowledge, a test of courage. And I passed. Luxury doesn't protect you. Knowledge does. Preparation does. Calm resolve does. I still have the house. But more importantly, I have control. They thought they could intimidate me. Instead, they taught me exactly how powerful I really was.